This is something that I do, obviously, for all of you. It goes onto the website, and then there are online practices. Some are paid for, so you can subscribe and become a member, of course. But the vast majority are and will always be a growing library of free practices that you can access online as well. So if you particularly like the practice that we do, or you want to revisit a practice that we've done, quite often you can refer back to those and do it again in your own time, you know, in your own space as well. You might be away on holiday, you might be at home or whatever. So this is one way to give you that kind of platform to be able to do that, hopefully. All right? So sometimes, from time to time, there'll be a camera in here, essentially, but it just points at me. Yoga expresses itself across the world in many different ways, right? And, you know, from Pilates to ritualistic, dogmatic, religious practice that we see in India and places like that. Not necessarily in India, but in the Far East, right? So obviously each branch or each expression of yoga is still part of the same thing, and at the base, at the origin, beneath all of it, there's yogic philosophy. There is really, there are traces of Buddhism and Hinduism and all of that, and we can allow our practice and we can immerse ourselves in our practice deep enough to explore those, if you like, ideologies and those ideas and those things, those concepts, or not. It's entirely up to you. Ultimately, generally, what normally brings us to yoga tends to be the same sort of thing, right? We all want more of something, you know, more strength or more balance, more harmony, a bit more peace and tranquility, balance in our lives, right? It's normally always because we want more of something, which gently suggests to us a conflict with what we have, right? We don't accept what we have, normally, right? And that's okay that we're drawn by that the desire for change, you know, the desire for growth and progression, you know. But how that journey manifests, how it unfolds from now into the future, that's your journey, it's personal. Right? So whether you go into yogic philosophy or whether you stay in the kind of more physiological and at the surface of the practice, it's entirely down to you. It's, you know, it's there if you want it, but it doesn't mean you have to take it, you know? And that applies to the positions that we move into, the transitions that we do, the way that I lead the practice. I'm here as a guide, not an instructor. You know, I know the term teacher works because I'm teaching you things about yoga and about the expression of yoga from my point of view and my interpretation. Lots of it is quite subjective. It's the way that I've interpreted, you know, the experience of yoga and the philosophy and all of that business. But actually the journey as you work through your practice independently in each individual practice, but as well collectively over a group of practices, you know, and as a group, the way that that journey unfolds, certainly from your perspective, you're entirely responsible for, right? And I'm not instructing you along that journey. I'm not telling you, you must do this, you must do that. Your yoga and your practice must look like this or must feel like that, you know? That's for you to discover. It's very much a journey of discovery, right? So try to be aware throughout your practice that that's there for the taking. Your discovery, your experience, you know, is there. And if you're open to that, then you can properly immerse yourself in whatever version of the practice that you seek or you hope to, I suppose, achieve or attain, without getting lost in that word, because yogic philosophy does tell us as well, vairagya, which is to take a step back from our attachment to a sense of achievement and results, all right? Which is something else further down the line as we accrue more experience in our practice we might want to dive into and pull apart. But certainly for now, don't be too governed by that or the internal voice that says, you know, I want to do this or I want to do that or I want to achieve this or I want to achieve that. Just be very present, you know, and work with what you've got. Work with what the body presents you with at the surface level and slightly deeper as well, you know. There might be things that come up emotionally and psychologically as well for us, little obstructions for us to work around and overcome or to circumnavigate. And, you know, on the very rare occasion, tuck our tail and run. That happens as well sometimes. We avoid problems, don't we? Hopefully not today, though. All right? So just try to be aware. Try to be present enough and present in mind enough to observe the dialogue that happens throughout your practice and, you know, and not to be excessively reactive. Don't be at conflict with that dialogue. Try to keep it healthy. You know, it doesn't have to be an outcome. It doesn't say, oh, be nice or keep it happy, a happy diet. It doesn't have to be happy. You might not be in a happy place at the moment, and that's all right. You need to embrace that. But keep it healthy. Don't let it be destructive. We don't want to be abusive to ourselves, do we? You'll never do this. You're too old. You know, arc at him over there. Look at what he can do. You can't do that. You'll never do these types of... That happens to all of us at some point in our lives, doesn't it? And we have to observe that, be aware of that. It's not healthy. You know, take a step back. That's not me. That's just There's me sort of brainwashing myself into holding myself back. You know, let go of those ideas and those thoughts, yeah, and let the journey unfold in a way that is healthy. All right, make sense? Hopefully it does. He's waffling again. Stand nice and tall. That's it. Try to soften through the legs initially. Soften through the shoulders as well. Bring your hands to your heart center. We just connect the palms, close the energy loop there. As always, with our practice and with each position, try to revisit the gateway, something that I've been slowly introducing you all to, that's been emerging in our practice, a system, a method, if you like, or an approach towards the quiet body. And the first of those gateways is arrival, pravesh. So try to arrive in the immediate space. That means bring our awareness inwards. And we want to observe the body in that space. We'll start at the surface, at the first layer of the koshas, a multi-dimensional entity that we are. So be aware of the ground beneath the feet and the air against the skin, the clothes as they're draped over the skin. We don't need to label anything or give it a conclusion or a context. Just observe it with a quiet mind. And as we start to fine-tune our awareness, our attention, it's naturally drawn inwards. And we start to notice the sensations of the body. So a little deeper this time, beneath the skin, the muscles, the tendons and ligaments, the bones and the joints. We might notice areas of tension or fatigue, or maybe areas that feel like there's energy concentrated, where we have a warm buzz, we're ready to move. Just observe in a very honest way the body that we have, that presents, and that we'll be working with throughout our practice. And then start to allow the awareness to seep a little deeper than the surface, towards the energetic body, the body of feeling and sensation, and the energy that's attached and delivered by the function of the breath and the expression of the breath. So as we inhale and expand the tummy, expand the rib cage, notice that inward, downward sensation that we draw energy in. But at the same time, there's a blossoming action. The physical body blossoms and blooms, and we lift up and out. We feel a spiral up and out through the crown. And as we exhale, it's the opposite. We draw up and out. But at the same time, we start to fold into ourselves. The physical body shrinks and is grounded and drawn down towards the earth, the embrace of the earth. So be very aware of those sensations. There's a transformation that occurs at the peak of the inward breath, and a surrender that we can find, pranitan, at the trough of the exhalation, in the stillness that naturally arrives after. On the outward breath, release the hands down by the side. And as we inhale, take your arms wide and high, reach up, find length through your body. Tuck your tailbone slightly, activate the legs, really reach. As we exhale, soften again, just enough to step the right foot over the left. Now we can ground through the sole of the foot or bring the ball of the foot to the ground. We'll lean in the same direction, so start to sway over towards the left side. Push into your right hip, and as you do so, try to breathe into the right side of the body. Look up from underneath the right arm. Take a gentle exhalation and start to soften back through the center. Notice the need for a little bit of stability and balance. Uncross the feet, inhale to reach. And exhale, sway over to the opposite side as you take your left foot over the right. Push into your left hip. Start to stretch down the left side of the body. Option to look up from underneath the arm. Try to draw your left shoulder back, enough to open the heart space and deepen the stretch at the abdomen and the side of the abdomen. Breathe into that. And then soften back up through the center. Uncross the legs, inhale to reach, find length. And as you exhale, fold over the legs, allow a bend in the knees, slowly sink down. Bring the hands towards the earth, round off the lower back, the middle spine. Try to let the head and the shoulders fall loose and heavy. As we begin to straighten our legs in the forward fold, cradle the elbows, sway to and fro, forwards and backwards, or maybe even left and right. Slowly start to straighten your legs up. Be mindful of the breath here. Nice deep cycles of breath. And as we come back to stillness, bring the hands to the shins. Try to push the legs away, but don't hyperextend at the knee here. So keep a micro bend in the knee as we halfway lift. Ardha Uttanasana. Lengthen through the spine. Peek forwards and look out through the tailbone. Exhale back to depth. Slightly straighter legs this time. And then uncoil to the top. Walk up the legs or slide the hands up as we uncoil the spine. Take the arms wide and high, lift your chin. Reach up and find length all the way through the body. Long arms, long spine as we fold forwards over the legs. Uttanasana, the forward fold. Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift, flatten the back, look forwards. We're going to push out through the bottom here and lengthen. This time as we exhale, ground the palms, step to a high plank, Phalakasana. We want to push the earth away. Try to grip with the fingertips. Have a hollow palm here. Round off the upper back. Tuck the tailbone slightly. Find length through the backs of the legs. Activate your core. Feel your tummy pulling, especially up by the sternum. Then drop your knees, chest, chin or forehead for Chaturanga Dandasana. Lower down to the earth. And then release. Draw the shoulders back. Use your lower back, Bala Bhujanga. So baby cobra here. We're barely pushing actually. Just lift enough to activate the lower back. Then release. Now we can push a little bit. Get some help from the hands. Come up higher, but keep your hips down. And wave the body back down. We'll come up much higher this time. Don't worry about whether the arms are straight or bent. Depends on your anatomy. But try to keep your hips down. Draw the shoulder blades towards the spine. Lift your chin. Then gently release down. Wave down to tuck the toes and prepare to rise in your upward facing dog. Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. So we can push the head or the chin into the earth and wave through the body as we rise. Up. And then back across the knees to child's pose, Balasana. Sink down and backwards. Draw your coccyx, the tailbone, down to between the feet, but try and find length through the arms. Inhale as we rise slightly onto the fingertips and stretch through the arms, through the armpits. And exhale to widen the knees slightly. Draw your heart space towards the earth. Keep the chin lifted on the way down. Take an inward breath and rise again, just enough. And walk the hands over towards the left side, about 10 o'clock. Deliberately find the stretch, especially where the lats are here by the armpit. And then exhale, sink down. Want to breathe into the right side of the body. So you almost push into your rib cage and your armpit, your right hip, your right knee. And then as you exhale and release the breath, try to soften your arms. Bring your forearms to the ground if that's available. It's just a brief moment of surrender. Find the stillness at the bottom of the exhalation. And then inhale to rise onto the fingertips. Walk the hands, big steps all the way through the center over to the right side. And exhale, take a fold down. Around about 2 o'clock position. Inward breath delivers that stretch to the left side of the body. And then as we release the breath, we can sink and soften. Prepare to rise again. So with the inward breath, we come onto the fingertips and walk back towards the center. Take an initial bow, lead with your heart space. Keep Vishuddhi open here, so lift the chin and draw it down towards the earth. Then immediately start to slide forwards to Shishasana. Keep the forearms and the elbows close to the ground. Try to drive your heart space lower here and see if you can stop when the hips feel like they're arriving above the knees. So don't go too far forwards and maybe don't hang back too far either. We're deliberately trying to find that stillness at the bottom of the exhalation. Allow the abdomen to constrict and pull in. And notice the way that gravity almost tugs down from between the shoulder blades, a little closer to the earth. As we start to rise, immediately tuck the tailbone, round the spine, tuck the chin and look through the legs towards the back of the mat. But shift your weight forwards. Draw your groin and your navel down towards the ground. Then activate the spine just enough to slide the elbows forwards until they arrive below the shoulders. Sphinx, push the earth away, lift the chin. One by one, start to stack the hands on top of each other. We can either lift the elbows and push away from the earth or just flare them before lowering down. So if you're going to rise with Andy, push the earth away, lift the chin. Be careful with the lower back, it's quite early in the practice. And then exhale, join our neighbours in Makarasana. Sink down to the crocodile. Have a little wiggle side to side here. Press the groin into the ground. And then bring your attention from the root up towards Svadhisthana, Manipur, Anahat. So through the energy centres, the wheels, along that central highway of the body, the hollow centre, up towards the heart, the Anahat, and focus there. Notice the beating heart against the earth. A few nice deep cycles of breath here. And with the next inward breath, bring the hands beneath the shoulders, rise into a cobra again, just as high as feels appropriate. Wave back down to Chaturanga Dandasana. So as soon as we release at the bottom, tuck the toes and lift off of the ground. Try not to tuck the elbows completely. Slide back to wave forwards and upwards. Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. And then tuck your toes, lift the knees to slide back. Try to stay low for this one as we push backwards and upwards, eventually to Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Remember, we push the front of the mat away here. Start to take a walk on the spot and wiggle the tailbone left to right, right to left. Ease the strain out of the hips and the lower back. The back leaf. You know, the posterior chain from the heel all the way up the back of the leg, the glutes, the lower back. But we're still pushing the front of the mat away as we do so. Then return to stillness. Find length initially. Maybe a small wave through the spine here so we can kind of come forward slightly and inhale a little bit. Then as we exhale, push up and out through the tailbone. Draw the heels towards the earth. Allow the tummy to pull in. Inhale, wave forward slightly. And exhale, find length. Inhale forwards. And exhale back to length. Once more forwards. And exhale to length. And on the continuation of the exhalation, step the right foot under the body. Replace the right hand, drop the left knee, untuck the toe. Inhale to reach wide and high, Anjaneyasana. We want to draw the groin, draw the root, mula, downwards and forwards. And we can keep the chin slightly lifted here, radiate out through the crown with a tall spine, or lengthen the neck and drop it back. And reach and radiate out through Ajna. For 3, for 2, and for 1. Inhale, bob up slightly, push the earth away with the right foot. Exhale, release the arms, frame the front foot, rock back, Ardha Hanumanasana, halfway lift here in the split, but then sink down if it's available. Take a fold over the right leg for 3, for 2, and for 1. We're not staying. Shift the weight forwards, frame the front foot, tuck the toe, lift the knee. Try to stay low as we kick out through the right heel into Eka Pada. That's one-footed Chaturanga Dandasana. So descend at the same time. Then wave up, Urdhva. And back to Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Same as before, that little wave through the spine. So inhale, shift the weight forward slightly to soften out of it. Then exhale, find length. And continue the exhalation, left foot under the body. Replace the left hand, Anjaneyasana, the low lunge. Untuck the toes as you drop the right knee and find length. Inhalation to bob up slightly, push the earth away with the foot. Exhale, release the hands, frame the front foot, rock the weight back, straighten your spine and leg, Ardha Hanumanasana. Then walk the hands away, sink down, almost draw the left shoulder and knee together, or shin together. Keep them in line. The train tracks of the body, shoulders and hips all line up, don't they? Let's honour that. And destination, Eka Pada Chaturanga Dandasana. So shift the weight forwards, frame the foot, tuck the toe, lift the knee. Step back and stay low during the descent with that left leg. As you lower down, slide back to wave forwards and up. Hand back to Adho Mukha Svanasana. Find length here in stillness. For 3, for 2, and for 1. Step the right foot under the body, but look, adjust the left to 45. Follow the lines if you have them on your mat. Step the right foot to replace the right hand. Remember to offset your feet for Warrior 1. Virabhadra. Sweep your arms up towards the sky and sink into it. And we can take a bind here. Bring the hands together. Or even your Kali Mudra. For 3. For 2. Remember to draw the left hip forwards. For 1. Inhale, bob up, but turn to 10 o'clock. Release the hands. Follow the left hand with the gaze. Start to tuck the chin and shrug the shoulders. Take the bind, then roll the shoulders back. Wave through the spine. Lift the chin and sink first. Then continue the exhalation and fold. Crown of the head towards the ground. There's an option, of course, if the hip allows, for you to come down and bring the crown to the earth. For 3, for 2, and for 1. Bring the hands to the tailbone. Then release the bind. Left hand to the earth. Line it up with the front foot. Ball of the rear foot. Sweep your right arm towards the sky. Parivrtta Ashvasanchalanasana. Try to arrive here. So find length through the left leg, out through the heel. The groin sinks. The knee doesn't drop out too much for the moment. Push the earth away with the left hand. Don't collapse into your left shoulder. Then draw the right arm down, but bring your right elbow on top of the right knee. Drop the rear foot and sweep the left arm up. And we can go long with the rear leg here, but draw the shoulder back, look up from underneath the left arm, or reach towards the sky. Parsvakonasana. Inhale, reach out through the rear heel and the left hand. Then exhale, both hands to the ground. Come onto the ball of the rear foot. For the lizard, take a bow, release the breath, crown and head to the ground. Inhale, lengthen and peek forwards. Exhale, step the right foot back, lean into the heel of the left palm, grip at the earth here for Vasistha, the side plank. So sweep the right foot back, right arm to the sky. Remember, you can drop your left knee and pivot on it to support the body here. For 3, for 2, and for 1. Take it to a fallen star on the other side. So draw the right hand to the ground, sweep the right leg out from underneath the body, lift the foot if it's available, push the earth away with the right hand. Come back to Phalakasana, your high plank. And there's an almost bobbing action. So first rise slightly, push away, then lower. Chaturanga Dandasana. Upward facing dog. And downward face. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Find length through the spine. And start to adjust the right foot already as we prepare for Warrior One. So step the right foot to 45 there at the back of the mat and send the left foot under the body to replace the left hand. Sweep the arms up. So we should have feet that are slightly offset here. Draw the right hip forwards. Exhale, sink into it. Remember the gateways. Arrive, draw the attention and the focus inwards. Notice the breath and the expression of the breath. Surrender and find the stillness beneath all of it. Inhale, bob up to 2 as we turn and follow the right hand. Search for the bind, tuck the chin. Interlace the fingers, wave through the spine, open the heart, lift the chin and sink first. Then fold, crown of the head towards the ground. And we can come onto the ball of the rear foot if it's available, but don't force it. Start to bring your hands towards your tailbone. Then release the bind, right hand to the earth. Push the earth away and rise. Come onto the ball of the rear foot. Parivrtta Ashwasanchalanasana. Left arm sweeps up via the front to the sky. Pull the left shoulder back. We're pushing the right shoulder to the left as well. But we're not staying. Draw the elbow down on top of the knee. Drop the rear heel and sweep your right arm up. Remember, we're pulling the shoulder back here. We can go long and look up from underneath the arm, but try to draw the heart space open to the right side. Inhale, lengthen the touch. Exhalation, both hands down to the ground, ball of the rear foot. Uttamapristhasana, lizard, take a bow. Then inhale, lengthen. Exhale, sweep the left foot back, Vasistha. And we can take the left arm towards the sky. Remember, there's an option to lift your foot here. Or, of course, we can go the other way and drop the right knee and pivot on the knee. Draw the left hand to the ground for the fallen star on the other side. Bring the left foot under the body, out to the right, and reach with the right hand. Inhale, push the earth away. Exhale, come to the high plank. And slowly descend all the way to the earth. We won't come back up for a moment. And gentle release, Makarasana. Create a pillow with the hands. And arrive in the body here. Let the breath transport you and transform you. And draw the awareness up from the root towards the heart. Take a couple of more deep cycles of breath here. And then bring the hands back to beneath the shoulders. This time it's straight into the chaturanga. So tuck the toes and hover. Activate here. Then slide back to wave forwards and up. And backwards to Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Push out through the tailbone. Find length in stillness. Heavy heels, long arms. Push the front of the mat away with the fingertips. Then look to between your palms. Get ready to bounce forwards into a squat position. Malasana at the front. So we can take a hop, step or jump there or crawl there. Wide feet and ease yourself down when you arrive. Just a little rock side to side. So don't worry if you're up here doing that. We're kind of working towards a sort of like a sumo squat where we almost use the forearms and the elbows to push the knees out as we draw the root down and forwards. Yeah. So find your version of that. And eventually, hopefully, if it becomes available, lengthen through the spine. Find the little space above the knee. And if we find we're much higher up, just work towards, instead of pointing the knees forwards, try to externally rotate slightly just to facilitate opening the hips a little bit. And then bring the arms to the inside of the knee. Try to find that balance point where we can draw down and forwards with the root, as if we were going to sit down and work towards. You might find that it's quite tricky because it activates the quads here. So you might feel a little more comfortable bringing the hands down and working it that way. Again, it's very much discovery, isn't it? Of what's available or not, what's accessible or not. But just remember, whatever is accessible is perfectly acceptable. Let's inhale to lengthen through the spine. And then as we exhale, start to collapse, head towards Happy Baby, Ananda Balasana. So we round off the spine, tuck the chin, rock back and catch the feet. Then wave the spine down, long and flat. Try to soften. We're not under compression anymore. We're not seated or standing. So we can try to relax the spine and just ease with a little bit of movement. Ease the hips into it. Use the femurs, those very large bones in the thighs. Use those a little bit like a lever to open the pelvis, open the hips. If, of course, we find when we're in this position, bound around the feet, the ankles, the big toes, that the bottom really lifts, that this kind of business happens, there's probably a little bit of a resistance there somewhere in the spine, in the hips. So maybe release the bind around the feet and head for the backs of the knees. That might give you a little bit more space to soften the spine and just work with the lower region of the body. So whatever's available. You can also use a strap and business like that to help. So we've been practicing recently an entry into a headstand, Shirshasana, from these positions where we're on our back. So we rock forwards through a seated position and we ground our forearms. Some of us might be new to that. So if we're working towards headstands, or we think that's a load of nonsense and we're just having a go at practicing, what we can do is once we go through the seated position, we can take ourselves towards a child's pose and then start to experiment a little bit. And remember, when we create that equilateral triangle, that equal-sided triangle, one variation of the headstand, the Shirsha, is to have our forearms and our elbows on the earth and to bring the head between, just inside the hands, and cup around where the high ponytail position would be, up on the back of the head. You know, but we want to put the crown of the head down when we do that and press into the earth, all right? And then you can practice by coming, I'll show you briefly actually, by coming onto the feet when you're here and lengthening through the legs and starting to tiptoe towards. And if we tiptoe towards, we're eventually working to the point where the bottom goes above the head. Now, obviously, it takes mobility and a little bit of flexibility to be able to get the feet this close and then them to become very light. They start to float, you see. That's because the bottom's, the weight of the tailbone's pulling the legs up for me. It's doing all the work. But if we've got tight hamstrings and a tight lower back, we might find it's very tricky to get there without rounding off like this and collapsing the spine, you know. When that happens, we have to start to work towards straightening the legs and activating there at the backs of the legs, okay? So that's the way that we can practice it. Obviously, be very careful with the neck when you do that. Eventually, ideally, as we soften here and we let go of everything, particularly in the core, we're soft. We're almost in a resting position whilst we work with the root here and we're wired. When we come back to stillness in the center, there's a soft activation to prepare. We lift the head and the nose towards the knees and we shrink. We release the breath. There's a gentle activation of the abdomen here. Then the rock back to forward happens. We cross the feet, we ground, and then we push the earth away and slowly go up. Yeah? So away you go. Let's work at having a little go of that. If you feel like you're going to collapse from the headstand, try to tuck and roll, all right? Obviously, if any of us practicing at home, we'll be wary of the glass coffee table and the dog and the kids. So to descend from this, we want to start to push the tailbone away as if it was going to go over the head and lengthen through the legs just to counterbalance. Slowly and steadily. Then bring the feet to the ground. And we can widen the knees and then gently release back to Balasana, child's pose. And it's recommended to lengthen through the arms here. We can stretch out through the shoulders, maybe even look forwards to between the hands. Bring the chin towards the earth. One more deep cycle of breath here. We won't stay too long. Inhale, rise slightly. Exhale, start to rise and round off. Tuck the tailbone and the chin. Slide your hands back to Madhyasana. So push the earth away. Inhalation, Vittalasana. Drop your belly and your spine. Lift up and out through the crown and your tailbone. So you're almost exposing the bottom. Exhale, round off. And inhale, one more drop of the spine. Outward breath, one more round off. Let's come back through our neutral Bhadramanasana towards Adho Mukha Svanasana. So tuck the toes, lift the knees, slide back and up. Adho Mukha, widen the hands one by one towards the outside of the mat. Get ready for a jump through, and we can step through here as well. You know, we can kind of step 1 foot at a time, remember, to wherever's available, and then rock back through a seated position into Nava, the boat. Or we can take the bounce. So we lower the knees towards the earth, look forwards, and then bounce through and under. Try to lengthen through the spine when you do that, though. Good, so it's another activation of the energy, or of the core, rather, to use that energy at Manipur. Tejas, that's the internal furnace, the fire that's there. Gently start to lower Ardha Navasana, so the legs and the arms. Bring the lower back to the ground. See if we can make that connection. Keep the shoulders, the arms and the legs up for a brief 5 minutes. And then gently soften all the way to the earth. You know, there's no prerequisite that we always finish a practice with Shava or Shavasana, with the corpse pose, the body position. But after activation like that, it's a lovely way to ground and soften and take time for reset. So do that just now. Really lengthen through the body and expand the tummy, expand the rib cage on the inward breath. And as you exhale, try to soften everything. Try to surrender the body. Let the shoulders go loose, the legs go loose. Notice the temperature of the breath between the inhalation and the exhalation. Find the spaces that exist between them as well. At the peak of the inward breath, the transformation that lies there. That's the third gateway to the awareness. The fourth is the surrender, which is at the trough of the outward breath. And the last is the silence that we inevitably discover beneath it all, that connects all of us. As always, these very short practices that we do, we're very limited for time. I tend to rob you of your long shavasana at the end, unintentionally, of course. But we'll take a few moments to breathe very consciously, very deeply, expanding the tummy and the rib cage as we inhale, shrinking as we exhale. Start to breathe gentle movement into the hands and the feet. The wrists, the ankles. Begin to lengthen through the legs, point the toes, take your arms over your head. Reach through the entire body. And as you soften again, you can, mindfully of the lower back, bring the knees up and into the abdomen for a hug and a little bit of movement, or maybe turn softly through one side and take some time there. Whichever version of the journey you'd like to, which slowly takes you back towards your seated position when you're ready. Let's find length together one last time. Take your arms wide and high, reach up, big deep breath. Connect the palms. And then as we exhale, bring the thumbs to third eye. We'll close with the Mahamrityunjaya. Om Triambakam Yajamahe, Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam, Varukamiva Bandhanan, Mrityor Mukshyama Mritat. Bring your hands to heart center. Bow to peace within. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.